My family hijacked my vacation plans again to cater to my golden child sister and her kids. But this time, I stayed quiet because I already had a secret escape plan they never saw coming. Greetings, fellow viewers. Today, I'm sharing a deeply personal story, a narrative spanning decades, about a family situation that has profoundly shaped my life. Despite growing up in what appeared to be a typical suburban Massachusetts household, I, Elizabeth, now 35, have always wrestled with a specific family dynamic. The favored child, the one who could do no wrong, was my older sister, Kate, 42. Our home, as long as I can recall, served as a living testament to Kate's existence. Every wall showcased her achievements, and every conversation revolved around her life. I still vividly remember my parents being too preoccupied with Kate's college interviews to get me a cake for my 10th birthday. They even tried to pass off Kate's leftover graduation cake, her name still visible as my own. As I matured, Kate's successes overshadowed every significant moment in my life. When I made the honor roll in middle school, my parents barely noticed, consumed as they were with Kate's recent selection to the debate team. Later, they couldn't attend the ceremony where I won a local painting competition in high school because Kate needed to visit a college campus. Recognizing that expressing my accomplishments would only elicit a dismissive, "That's nice, dear," before Kate's name resurfaced, I learned to celebrate my victories in the quiet solitude of my room. Even our possessions underscored the family's priorities. Kate's room always featured the latest gadgets, trendy apparel, and everything she required for her extensive extracurriculars. My room, in stark contrast, was filled with hand-me-downs. When I expressed an interest in music lessons, I was given Kate's discarded violin, which was far too large for me. My mother's response to my request for a suitable instrument was swift. "We've already spent so much on Kate's piano lessons this year." This pattern continued throughout high school. While Kate benefited from private SAT tutoring, I relied on borrowed library books for my studies. My parents secured a loan for Kate to purchase a car for college, yet advised me to use public transport when I needed assistance getting around. Every financial choice, family discussion, and holiday preparation revolved around Kate's wants and necessities. College proved equally challenging. Kate, with our parents' full financial support, earned her degree from a prestigious university. When my turn came, they could only commit to half the tuition at a public institution. Their explanation was clear: "We're still paying off Kate's student loans. You'll have to manage the rest yourself." To cover my expenses, I worked 2 part-time jobs while studying, often drifting off over my textbooks. Meanwhile, Kate was launching her career in a position our parents had secured for her through their extensive network. 7 years ago, Kate got married, and the situation, if anything, intensified. For an entire year, our family's complete focus was on the wedding. My parents took out yet another loan for her dream celebration, which included a designer gown, a lavish venue, and a guest list exceeding 300. Despite their worries about the repayments, I distinctly remember overhearing them in the kitchen one evening, steadfastly declaring that nothing was too good for Kate's special day. It was simply assumed I would be her maid of honor. I was expected to organize bridal showers, arrange an extravagant bachelorette party, and handle any minor crises that arose. When I voiced my stress about juggling these commitments with a full-time job, my mother retorted, "Don't be selfish, Elizabeth. This is your sister's special time." Then came the twins. Kate's announcement that she was expecting brought immense joy to my parents. Even though they were still settling the wedding loan, they contributed to the down payment on a house for Kate and her husband, Jack, 43, located conveniently close to them. I saw them deplete their retirement savings, funds they had claimed were inaccessible when I needed college assistance. On the day they signed those documents, however, they insisted, "This is different. This is for our grandchildren." And who, you might ask, became the default babysitter? Yes, that would be me. It began with occasional requests. "Elizabeth, could you watch the boys for a few hours?" This soon evolved into a weekly ritual, which then expanded to evenings whenever Kate and Jack had engagements. My parents actively endorsed this arrangement, stating, "This is what family does." Kate and Jack simply presumed my perpetual availability. Even though I adore the twins, now lively 7-year-olds, the routine is utterly exhausting. Every weekend, Kate unexpectedly drops them off at my apartment, usually with some excuse about needing me time or having essential errands. The boys run wild, transforming my small space into pure chaos. When I attempt to set boundaries or request advance notice, Kate bursts into tears about being overwhelmed, and my parents scold me for not being supportive. I've dedicated countless hours to establishing myself in the marketing field. Recently, I received a promotion offer that would entail increased hours and more travel. My mother's immediate response was, "But what about the twins? Your sister needs you here." Kate chimed in, "You can't accept that job, Elizabeth. Who will help me with the boys?" When I mentioned this during a family dinner, hoping for some praise, it became clear that my time, profession, and life held no significance. My father added, "Family should always come first, Elizabeth." My mother consistently echoed, "Your sister has 2 children to care for. You don't understand what true exhaustion means." When I tried to explain how overwhelming it all felt, Kate accused me of being jealous of her life and children. Her cutting remark, "You're just bitter because you're still single," as if my relationship status determined my entire worth as a person. Last month, after a particularly demanding weekend with the twins, during which they successfully damaged my laptop and left indelible marks on my couch, I decided I desperately needed a break. I discovered a small, unassuming resort in Florida, perfect for a peaceful escape. When I mentioned it during our weekly family dinner, my mother's eyes lit up. "Oh, that's perfect. We should all go together." The twins would adore the beach. Before I could object, Kate had already started planning activities. "You can take the boys swimming while Jack and I enjoy some alone time," she declared, as if my trip would naturally become another opportunity for them to offload childcare responsibilities. My parents even offered to upgrade my booking to a more luxurious resort where they would all stay, completely disregarding the fact that this was meant to be my personal vacation. They began organizing excursions and activities tailored to the twins' preferences. Lying in bed that night, I made a life-altering decision. I booked a different resort on a tranquil, secluded island. I kept this change of plans a complete secret from everyone. Silently, I started preparing, scheduling time off work, discreetly packing my belongings, and ensuring my emergency fund was readily available. Although I knew it felt deceptive, I simply couldn't endure it any longer. At the airport, they would proceed to Florida, while I would board my flight to an entirely different destination. I've turned off location sharing, bracing myself for the inevitable backlash. Yes, I anticipate drama. Yes, I know they will be upset. But for the very first time in my life, I intend to put myself first. For 35 years, I've been the reliable sister, the model daughter, the perpetually available aunt. I've sacrificed my social life, my weekends, and my personal needs to meet my family's expectations. Constant babysitting meant I missed out on potential relationships. I've turned down career advancements that might conflict with my family's demands, putting my personal life on hold to be there for them whenever needed. This isn't just a holiday. I'm escaping a lifetime of being exploited. I aim to use this as a pivotal moment to establish clear boundaries with my family and perhaps even take a complete break from them. I am utterly exhausted from consistently making sacrifices, from being the family's bedrock of support, and from serving as the dependable fallback option. So, Reddit, what are your thoughts? Am I overreacting? Is it acceptable for me to desire something different for myself, or should I simply accept my assigned role and adhere to their plans? First update, I truly appreciate all your support and guidance since my last post. A great deal has happened, and I want to share how it all unfolded. While everything went according to plan, the day at the airport was far more emotionally intense than I had anticipated. I deliberately chose a separate check-in area, far from where my family would be, arriving early. Through the glass walls of the terminal, I watched them arrive. Jack managing their booking, my parents radiating excitement, Kate wrestling with the twins and their luggage. The moment they headed to their check-in counter, I quietly made my way through security for my own flight. As soon as they realized I wasn't at their gate, my phone began to buzz. First, bewildered texts. "Where are you?" We're at gate B12. Then, anxious ones, are you all right, Elizabeth? Has something happened? And finally, furious messages. How could you treat us this way? The boys are in tears. Before boarding my plane, I switched off my phone. I experienced a strange blend of release and regret. I had lived with that guilt for most of my life, but freedom, it was exhilarating and entirely new. The small island where my resort was situated bore no resemblance to the crowded tourist destination they were headed to. The moment I stepped onto the beach, years of accumulated strain seemed to evaporate. No twins to care for, no family issues to manage, no rigid schedule to follow, just the ocean, myself, and absolute liberty. The initial 2 days were, admittedly, challenging. I kept checking the time, thinking the twins would be having lunch now, or Kate would typically need help getting them ready for bed at this hour. It's incredibly difficult to break free from decades of conditioning. However, on the 3rd day, something shifted. I began experimenting with activities I had always wanted to try but never had the time for. My silly, yet incredibly fun, surfing lesson was a delight. I befriended a group of solo travelers when I joined a beachside yoga class. One evening, I even had an impromptu dinner with an engaging man I met at the resort's coffee shop. Although it was just a casual meal, it served as a powerful reminder that I could forge a life independent of my family. The real test came when I finally reactivated my phone after 5 days. There were dozens of voicemails, over 300 text messages, and 147 missed calls. My mother had even called my workplace, reporting a family emergency. Fortunately, I had previously informed my supervisor that I would be taking a vacation. I listened to some of the voicemails. My mother's tone ranged from concern to fury to manipulation. Elizabeth, how could you abandon your family like this? The twins are inconsolable. Is this how we raised you? Kate's messages were even worse. You've ruined everything. The boys keep asking for Aunt Lizzie. Jack had to cut his meeting short because I can't manage on my own. However, one message struck a different chord. It was from my father, and for once, he sounded uncertain. Elizabeth, please just let us know you're safe, even if I don't understand what's happening. I had never heard him speak to me without immediately defending Kate or pressuring me to do more. I sent just one text to our family group chat. I'm having a wonderful vacation and I'm safe. I'll be in touch when I return. Please give me space. I then muted the conversation and resumed my own activities. The next 5 days were truly transformative. Instead of reading bedtime stories to the twins, I devoured 3 novels. I engaged in uninterrupted conversations with other guests every evening instead of rushing home to assist with baths and sleep. I watched the sunset, allowing myself to process years of suppressed emotions. I even started journaling. Last night, I ate dinner at a small beachside eatery, and when the elderly waitress noticed I was dining alone, she asked if I was content in my solitude. After I offered a brief explanation of my circumstances, she shared a piece of wisdom that resonated deeply with me. Family is vital, dear, but not at the expense of your own well-being. Sometimes, putting yourself first is the bravest thing you can do. When I returned home, I didn't head straight to my apartment. To prepare myself for the inevitable confrontation, I had booked a hotel room for 2 nights. During this time, I updated my work emergency contacts, changed the locks on my doors, and, most importantly, put my boundaries in writing. My family discovered I was back when I inadvertently liked a coworker's post on social media. Within hours, my mother and Kate arrived at my apartment building, incessantly buzzing my intercom. From the window of my hotel room across the street, I observed their dramatic performance, feeling strangely detached. Tomorrow, I will confront them at a neutral coffee shop, not my residence. I know it won't be easy, but I've rehearsed what I intend to say. My hands tremble when I consider it, but I'm choosing myself for the first time in my life, and I know it's the right decision, despite the anxiety, the guilt, and the drama that will undoubtedly follow. I'll provide another update after my discussion with my family. I am truly grateful because Reddit gave me the courage to take this initial step toward my independence. Second update, as planned, my family and I met at the coffee shop, and the encounter was even more intense than I had anticipated. Here's how it unfolded. The meeting began courteously enough. I arrived early and selected a corner table, positioning myself to see both the main entrance and the emergency exit, a habit I developed from years of anticipating family drama. My hands shook so much that I could barely hold my coffee cup. My parents, Kate, and surprisingly, Jack, all arrived together. I was relieved there were no twins present. Before they could launch into their rehearsed speeches, I raised my hand and delivered the statement I had practiced. I am establishing boundaries, and they are not open for negotiation. The subsequent 2 hours were a masterclass in emotional manipulation. Kate started to cry, describing how my absence had traumatized the twins. My mother tried to invoke guilt. After all that we have done for you, unexpectedly, Jack attempted to mediate, proposing a compromise where I would only see the children every other weekend. For the most part, my father sat quietly, looking uneasy. The pivotal moment arrived with Kate's declaration, "You're being selfish. Family means sacrifice." Something inside me clearly fractured, but I responded calmly, "Yes, family means sacrifice, but it's supposed to be reciprocal. When was the last time any of you sacrificed anything for me?" The ensuing silence was deafening. For the first time, I laid everything bare. The years of feeling like Kate's runner-up, the unfair financial treatment, and the persistent belief that my life and my time were less valuable than theirs. I then presented my calendar for the past year, with every weekend marked for babysitting and every holiday meticulously tailored to their needs. My mother attempted to interject, but that's what aunts do. I replied with something I had never before dared to utter. "No, that's what paid babysitters do. And Kate, if you require this much assistance, perhaps it's time to consider employing one." From that point, the discussion took a distinct turn. My mother quickly followed Kate as she stormed out. Remarkably, Jack remained and acknowledged that they had indeed exploited my availability. After a moment of silence, my father stated, We never intended to make you feel this way." It wasn't quite an apology, but it was something. Once they had left, I put my strategy into action. I relocated to a different part of the city and secured a new apartment. Although it's smaller than my previous residence, it's in a secure building with a doorman who has been briefed on my predicament. Only my workplace and a select group of trusted friends now have my updated phone number. Rebuilding my life from scratch proved to be the most challenging aspect, not the move or the planning. I had few genuine hobbies and a small circle of close acquaintances, having dedicated years to being available for my family. I started modestly. I enrolled in pottery lessons, joined a local reading club, and accepted dinner invitations from coworkers that I had consistently declined in the past. My first weekend of true freedom felt surreal. I did things that were previously unimaginable, like staying up late, visiting a farmer's market, and spending hours browsing in a bookstore. Kate wasn't sending urgent texts, Mom wasn't making guilt-tripping calls, and there were no last-minute babysitting requests. My family's reaction to my relocation was harsh, but entirely expected. When my mother tried to reach me via my company switchboard, she learned that my new role does not permit personal calls during business hours. On one occasion, Kate even showed up at my office, but security, having been alerted beforehand, intervened. She later sent a tearful letter, accusing me of destroying our family. The unexpected development came from Jack. He sent an email apologizing for his part in enabling the situation. At first, Kate objected to him taking the twins to events on the weekends, but she has since come to terms with it. It's a small, yet significant, adjustment. My parents are finding it difficult to adapt. Dad occasionally sends texts, usually in an awkward attempt to initiate conversation. Mom fluctuates between angry outbursts and icy silence. Last week, she left a voicemail stating, "When you're done with this rebellion, we'll welcome you back." She simply doesn't grasp that this isn't a phase. This is my new reality. Without regular family interruptions, my work has improved dramatically. I'm more productive and focused. My supervisor, noticing the shift, assigned me to oversee a major new project. For the first time in years, I'm also dating casually, but I'm taking it slowly. The biggest shift has occurred internally. I no longer experience the constant background anxiety that plagued me for years. I've started exercising regularly, improved my diet, and according to my therapist, yes, I've finally begun therapy. I'm sleeping much better. I am beginning to recover from what she refers to as chronic family stress syndrome. Last weekend, the twins sent me a gift that included handcrafted notes expressing how much they miss me. Although it was bittersweet, I remained resolute. I carefully wrote them back, letting them know that while I love them, I need some time to look after myself. I had to write it, even though Kate is unlikely to read it to them. Yesterday, an old acquaintance I ran into observed, "There's a lightness about you now, you look years younger." She is absolutely correct. I feel lighter. Despite the angry texts, the efforts at emotional manipulation, and the guilt that occasionally surfaces, I feel more liberated. Family love shouldn't feel like a prison sentence. I'm discovering that true love involves respect for personal space, acknowledgement of one's own needs, and reciprocal assistance, rather than solely one-sided sacrifice. My new apartment will be 1 month old next week. For the first time, I've dared to throw a small housewarming celebration. Just a few friends from pottery class, book club, and work. No expectations, no drama, no family, just individuals who embrace me for who I am. I'll provide another update soon. I'm grateful to Reddit for giving me the confidence to make a life-altering shift. Third update. This marks the completed update. It has been a truly life-changing 3 months, and I want to describe how everything has finally come together. The confrontation I had been dreading and anticipating arrived last week. My father unexpectedly appeared at my workplace. His approach was distinct from Kate's emotional manipulations or my mother's prior frantic attempts. He was composed, even resigned, when he asked if we could have lunch together. We met at a peaceful eatery near my office. For the first time in my life, he genuinely looked at me as his daughter, not merely as Kate's sister or the family's convenient fallback option. "You look healthy," he remarked in a startled tone, adding, "happier." The unspoken observation that lingered between us highlighted the fact that he hadn't perceived my unhappiness for years. He then presented a proposal from the family. They were prepared to make concessions if I agreed to resume my place within the family. "You could have every other weekend off," he continued. "They'd even pay for your time with the twins, as though monetizing the commitment would make it more appealing." As I looked at him across the table, I realized they still didn't understand. They did not view my independence as a fundamental right, but rather as a bargaining chip. "Dad," I replied, "I'm not negotiating my freedom. I'm living it." The conversation that followed was the most candid one I have ever had with my father. I described how their relentless focus on Kate had affected me emotionally as much as practically. I recounted memories he had forgotten or had never noticed, dreams disregarded, accomplishments overlooked, and birthdays neglected. His reaction was surprising. He sat for a long time in silence, without offering the usual defense of their decisions. At last, he stated, "We thought we were doing what was best for the family. We never saw how much we were hurting you." While that wasn't quite an apology, it was the first time I had ever felt truly acknowledged. The true turning point came when he inquired about my new life. For the first time, he listened attentively as I discussed my pottery lessons, my job advancement, and the new acquaintances I had made. Though it wasn't a perfect exchange, I showed him pictures of a vase I had crafted. I was shocked by what he said next. "You seem to have built a good life for yourself, without us." Both the recognition and a hint of grief in his voice were genuine. At the end of lunch, we agreed that nothing would ever be the same again. He gave me my first sincere embrace in years as he bid farewell. "I hope someday we can be part of your life again, but on different terms," he said. That exchange seemed to trigger a final round of family discord. After learning of our lunch, my mother began a fresh series of emotional attacks. She has been informing other family members that I require an intervention because I'm supposedly having a breakdown. Kate, feeling betrayed by our father's apparent approval of my decisions, has been making passive-aggressive remarks on social media about selfish sisters and broken families. The key difference now is that none of it impacts me in the way it formerly did. From my new life, I've gained a perspective I didn't possess previously. Their actions, in my opinion, are merely an attempt to retain control over someone who has finally found her freedom. My new apartment truly feels like home now. My attempts at pottery and pictures of my chosen family, friends who value my independence and respect my boundaries, adorn the walls. At work, I've started mentoring my less experienced coworkers, effectively ending the toxic cycle of one-sided support that had long ensnared me. My relationship with time has transformed the most. I get to spend my weekends exactly as I wish. I've started learning Spanish, joined a local hiking group, and even begun casually dating someone who genuinely respects and values my limits. For the first time, I am creating a life that is authentic to who I am, rather than what my family demands of me. Last Sunday, the twins sent me a homemade card, clearly written under supervision. It was filled with heartfelt statements about how much they miss their aunt. Previously, this would have plunged me into a downward spiral of uncertainty and remorse. Instead, I responded with a tender yet firm letter, stating that while my love for them hasn't changed, even if I may not be as involved in their daily lives, sometimes grown-ups need to look after themselves. According to my therapist, I am exhibiting what she refers to as post-traumatic growth, not simply moving past the past, but forging something more robust and wholesome in its place. She has helped me realize that I am not responsible for resolving my family's dysfunction. The most recent development occurred yesterday. Jack, Kate's husband, contacted me to let me know that my firm stance has indeed caused changes in their home, and he wasn't blaming me for it. They've finally hired part-time help for the twins, and he has become a more actively involved parent. Jack believes it's better for everyone, though Kate is finding the adjustment difficult. As I write this final update, I'm sitting in my home office, preparing for a business trip next week, something I could never have done in my previous life. A framed quotation on the wall behind my desk speaks to my journey. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is set yourself free. I want to express my deepest gratitude to everyone who supported me and followed my story. You gave me the confidence to make my own decisions. If you're wondering if people in comparable circumstances are selfish for desiring their own lives, know that you are not. Being free is not selfish. Treating oneself with kindness is not unkind. Setting limits is not a sign of treachery. I have no idea how my relationship with my family may evolve in the future. Perhaps one day, we'll discover a different kind of connection, one founded on mutual respect rather than obligation. In the interim, I'm concentrating on nurturing the life I've built, including my friendships, interests, profession, and, most importantly, my sense of self. This is not merely a conclusion, it's just the beginning. And for the first time in my life, I'm truly looking forward to what comes next. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.